What's happening? A good Monday morning to all of you. Thanks for joining me as always. And let's talk about the NBA Finals. Celtics now up 2-0 over Dallas after winning last night against the Mavericks at the TD Garden. And just think about this for a second. The Celtics, their record this year is now 78-20. 78-20. Just absolutely ridiculous. 14-2 in the playoffs. They've won, it feels like a billion straight. And now they go to Dallas on Wednesday night to try to climb to a 3-0 lead in this series. Let's break the game down. And we start with Jrue Holiday. 26 points, 11 rebounds, and 3 assists. When the Celtics traded for Jrue Holiday right before the season began back in October of 2023, I discussed that trade. You can check it out. Cattle's on Causeway YouTube channel, Nick Cattles. It's in the archives. And I went through how Jrue Holiday can impact this basketball team, not only defensively, but offensively, all the different things that he could do. And he really was the icing on the cake for the Brad Stevens offseason that began by adding Kristaps Porzingis. Holiday was the guy that could do all the little things, that knew his role, understood what it took for a team to be a championship team. Has that ring to prove it. And last night, Holiday was fantastic. And he's been absolutely spectacular since the end of that Miami Heat series. But last night, 11 of 14 from the floor. You want to talk about efficiency. 11 of 14. That's bananas. 2 of 4 from 3. He had 9 field goals made in the restricted area. We're talking about a guard. Jrue Holiday had 9 field goals made in the restricted area last night. Almost all the buckets were in the paint. He had the 2 threes, and everything else was in the paint. Absolutely crushing the Mavericks' interior defense. Oh, and by the way, he did not have a single turnover last night. No turnovers. 26, 11 and 3, 11 of 14 from the field, 2 of 4 from 3, 9 field goals made in the restricted area, and 0 turnovers. Dick Light from NBC Sports Boston tweeted this last night. Holiday is the first non-center in NBA history to have at least 25 points and 10 rebounds in the finals while shooting at least 770 from the field. He's the first non-center in NBA Finals history. The only players to achieve those marks, check these names out. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in 1971, Wilt Chamberlain in 1972, and Shaq in 2004. That is some unbelievable company for Jrue Holiday. I've kept an eye on this statistic, and I have shared it with you throughout this run by the Celtics. The Celtics now, after last night, they are 34-1 when Holiday scores 14 points or more. 34-1. I would not say that's an anomaly, would you? 34-1 when Holiday scores 14 or more. Just an unreal game from Holiday last night. Jaylen Brown, Jayson Tatum. I'll talk about these guys individually in a couple of minutes, but I just want to talk about their effort regarding creating for their teammates. Brown and Tatum last night combined for 19 assists. Dallas as a team had 21. Brown and Tatum's unselfishness, and I know that Tatum took 22 shots, but their unselfishness, their ability, their capability of creating for teammates, understanding what the defense is trying to accomplish, taking advantage of that, and finding the open teammate is something that we cannot overlook. We have to appreciate the ability of the 2 superstars on this team to be able to do that, especially Tatum. Brown's gotten better. He's gotten better when it comes to creating for others. He's not Tatum in that regard, but he has improved. Tatum and Brown, 19 assists versus Dallas's 21. Sharing the basketball. Talked about it before the series. I believe I talked about it after game 1. Rim reads. Vital for the Celtics to win this series, rim reads. When you get into the paint, when you downhill attack this Dallas defense, when you get to the rim, make the right decision. Find the open man in the corner. spray it out for the open three. If you have an opportunity at the rim to finish at the bucket. And the rim reads have been very good from both Brown and Tatum in this series. And that creates 4-on-3s. You know, when you have the ability that the Celtics have to get past the initial defense, their wings, their guards, to get past that perimeter defender, to draw somebody else, you create 4-on-3s. As Dallas is trying to double Tatum, that immediately creates a 4-on-3 for the C's. And we discussed this before the series began. The NBA Finals, the NBA playoffs, they're all about matchups. And Dallas could hide guys like Dončić and Kyrie against lesser shooters. They could put those two premier offensive guards while not being great defensively. They could hide both of those guys defensively by putting on players like Jaden McDaniels and Nickeil Alexander-Walker. They could take their chances, allowing Chet Holmgren to take open threes when he can't throw it in the ocean. When you're going against the Celtics, if you're going to double somebody, if you're putting two on the ball, the Celtics are going to have a 4-on-3 advantage. And with that 4-on-3 advantage, they are going to roast you. They're going to find wide open shooters. And that's what we've seen throughout the first two games of this series. The rim reads and taking advantage of the doubles. And because of that, the Celtics continue to get great shots. Tatum last night cut his turnovers in half from game 1 to game 2. Game 1, he had 6 turnovers. Last night, he had 3. That's an area of improvement that we wanted to see, and we saw it. Now, let's talk about Tatum's game in totality. He's not shooting well. He's shooting putrid. And yes, when you look back at the 2022 finals against Golden State, Tatum was incredibly inefficient. The first 2 games of this series, as far as a shooter, he's been incredibly inefficient. Is there some concern about Tatum tightening up a little bit when it comes to his own shot making in the finals? Yes, there is concern. There is concern, but they're still winning. And they're still winning because of Jayson Tatum helping them win. See, this is what breaks brains, and this is why it's very difficult to evaluate Tatum, because he's shooting 6 of 22, which is horrible. It's absolutely horrible. And he settled for 5 or 6 bad shots last night. The one on the top of my brain is the Dante Exum decision. Tatum gets the basketball, back to the basket. He has Dante Exum, and instead of plowing through Exum, he takes a turnaround, fall-away jump shot and bricks it. Late in the fourth quarter. Horrible decision, bad shot selection, misses it. So you do have that part of Jayson Tatum that we've got to talk about. 6 of 16 in game 1, 6 of 22 in game 2. He has been incredibly inefficient. He's missing all sorts of shots. He was just smoking layup after layup last night. He missed 4 or 5 layups. So that is part of the game. But also part of the game is Tatum's ability to rebound the basketball. He had 9 rebounds. His ability to create opportunities for his teammates, like I just discussed, creating those 4-on-3s, the rim reads, the kickouts, all those things are just critical to the operation. If Tatum, who's getting defended by 2 guys a lot of the time, sometimes he's getting defended by 2 Mavericks along with somebody else shading, Tatum's ability to draw those defenders in, his ability to get downhill and attack the rim and take on multiple defenders, his court vision, his passing ability, that is creating so much offense for the Celtics. So both things can be right. Both things can be accurate. Jayson Tatum has shot the ball awful in the finals. He's been putrid shooting the basketball. But he's also done a lot of other things that has helped this team win the first 2 games of this series. The rebounding, the shot creation for his teammates. And think about it this way. Tatum had 12 assists last night, and that's with the Celtics shooting 25.6% from three-point land. Imagine if the Celtics shot last night like they shot in game 1. If they shot 38% last night, Tatum would have had 15, 16, 17 assists. That's how good he was when it came to playmaking. And again, he finishes with a +6. He's plus double digits in this series. When he's on the floor, the team is better. Even though he shot 6 of 22, he's on the floor, team is better. I thought his defense in the first half was not very good. I thought he improved defensively as the game went on. Yes, he gave up some Gafford post-ups. Celtics are fine with that. If you want to try to get Daniel Gafford going, good luck to you. If you think Daniel Gafford is going to win this series, if you're Dallas, you're insane. So we can look at both sides of the coin. Tatum has to get more efficient. He's got to make more shots. But every other area in his game is there. It's on point. And because of the ability to create for his teammates and defend and to rebound and do all those other things, that's why the Celtics are scoring points. That's why they're winning these games. On the other end, before this series began, one of my mantras was let Luka be Luka. Luka's going to Luka. Let Luka Dončić be Luka Dončić. He's going to score 30 plus. You can pretty much write him down every night for 30 points at least. He scored 30 in game one. He scored 32 last night. La-di frickin' da. And I don't say that as disrespect to Luka. It's actually the exact opposite. Dončić is so damn good. He's so special offensively that he's just going to score 30. It's just going to happen. But you've got to make it tough on him. And so last night we walk into the game. Luka's going to Luka. 23 points in the first half. How many tough shots did that guy make in the first half? It was ridiculous. He had like 20 points in the first, 18 minutes of this game. How about the 3 that he took in the first half? His feet were not set at all. His feet were set as if he was staring towards the scorer's table. He's on the right side wing above the break, and he's got his feet positioned as if he's looking towards the scorer's table, and he still knocks the 3 down. He was on a heater to start this game. But here's the thing. You continue to attack him defensively. You continue to make him work offensively. In all of those difficult shots that he made in the first half, all of that work he had to do wore him down. And so he had 23 in the first half. You tip your cap after he made just a bunch of difficult shots. Yes, he finished with 32 points, 11 rebounds, and 11 assists. Luka-'d last night. However, he also had 8 turnovers. Only 9 of his 32 points were in the second half because he was gassed. He was gassed, my friends. The Celtics emptied his gas tank. And if they continue to attack him on the defensive end, which they are going to, they keep forcing the switch. They keep getting Dončić one-on-one. They keep taking him to the basket. They keep physically backing him down. It's like body blows. I'm a big UFC fan. Used to be a gigantic boxing fan until I got tired of all the fakakta decisions and craziness in that sport. But it's like you're taking big body shots. And that's what the C's are doing throughout the game against Luka. They're hitting him with body shot after body shot. They're hitting him in the rib cage over and over. And after so many of those body shots, the first 2 quarters, 2.5 quarters, Luka starts to wear down. You saw some of his shots in the fourth quarter last night, hitting the front rim because he was worn down. He had 8 turnovers last night because as you wear down physically, you start to wear down mentally. You start making mistakes because you're exhausted. And that's the Celtics game plan. We talked about it before the series began. This is not rocket science. You attack Dončić defensively, and you make sure that you do everything you can with every fiber of your being to make shots difficult. If he's going to beat you by scoring 50-plus points on difficult shots all night and defend at least an average level, hey, man, great job, Luka. But the chances of Luka winning 4 games against the Celtics single-handedly, it's just not there. So 8 turnovers, gassed. One thing I would say about the C's, I thought they started to double him a little bit too much early in the second half. And that created some opportunities for his teammates. I wouldn't bother doubling him as much. Now, in the fourth quarter, blitzing him makes some sense because he's worn down. Now you're throwing two guys at him, and you're kind of rushing his decision process, right? I understand that. But don't double him through the first two quarters. Don't double him through even the first three quarters. Let him continue to work one-on-one. Don't give other guys wide open shots, near the bucket. I understand the other guys are missing shots. I get it. But I think you continue to go one-on-one with Luka. You continue to force him to put all of his energy into these games. And by the fourth quarter, when he starts to get gassed, then you throw some blitzes at him because he's going to get lazy once in a while, and he's going to throw the ball away. Don't forget, while you're watching, to give us that thumbs up, like, comment, and subscribe. All the likes help us beat that YouTube algorithm, as we always talk about. It takes a second of your time, doesn't cost you any money. So give us that thumbs up on YouTube if you like the content. Comment as well. Love seeing all of your comments. Subscribe. Trying to hit 3,500 subscribers. And, of course, mandatory minicamp starting today with the Patriots. I will be back talking Patriots tomorrow. Celtics, obviously, number one priority right now coming off of Game 2. But I'll get back to the Patriots tomorrow. We'll talk about mandatory minicamp, what happened today. It's going to start in about 45 minutes. But like, comment, subscribe. It helps the channel out. And if you're listening on Spotify, Apple Pods, rate and review. Celtics, they have to keep going downhill. Keep going downhill. Keep attacking this Dallas perimeter defense. They don't have enough guys to defend your guys. It's as simple as that. I mentioned matchups before this series began. It's all about the matchups. And the Celtics have 4 or 5 guys on the court at the same time that can create. They can create their own shot. They can create for their teammates. That's unbelievable pressure on the Mavericks. Unreal pressure on them to defend every single possession. And you see Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown, both Brown and Tatum, consistently getting downhill over and over and over again. Just doesn't stop. By the way, I want to mention this about Tatum. Missed a triple-double by a single rebound last night. He posted his 19th double-double because of the 12 assists. Last night was Tatum's 19th double-double in his last 22 playoff games. The Celtics are 13-0 when Tatum puts up a double-double. So think about that. They're 13-0 this postseason when Tatum posts a double-double. He did it again last night. Back to the drive and kick, drive and finish game. That's the key to this series. We mentioned it before the series. We'll continue to mention it because that is the difference. The ability of the Celtics to consistently beat Dallas perimeter defenders and get to the bucket to create opportunities for themselves at the rim or opportunities for their teammates from three. Josh Bowe from Mavs Moneyball last night, he posted this on Twitter. The Celtics were 15 of 15 in the restricted area in Game 1. Last night, they were 20 of 27 in that restricted area. They're getting into the paint, and they are finishing at a very high level. Now, the Mavericks, one of the Mavericks' strengths going into this series was their ability to protect the rim. Derek Lively, Daniel Gafford, those guys very good at contesting shots at the rim. Here's the issue for the Mavericks. The Celtics are getting Lively, Gafford, they're getting their bigs. They're getting the Mavericks' bigs switched onto Tatum and Brown. And as soon as one of those bigs gets on Brown, Tatum, they can drive to the bucket. And they can help take Lively and Gafford out of the play. The other part of the issue for the Mavericks right now and why the C's were 15 of 15 from the restricted in Game 1, 20 of 27 in Game 2, is because Joe Mazzulla and this Celtics coaching staff has made a genius decision offensively in this series through 2 games. What is that genius decision? They are putting guards in the dunker spot. They're pulling out the Dallas Mavericks bigs. They have Horford and Porzingis set out at the three-point line. That pulls the Mavericks bigs out of the paint. they have Jrue Holiday or Derek White in the dunker spot, which is that spot right in the paint, off to the side of the rim, and they bring their guards to the dunker spot because now you have the guards of the Mavericks defending in the dunker spot, i.e., you don't have a big to contest at the rim. So when you have Derek White in the dunker spot, you have Kyrie Irving as your post defender for the Mavericks. Disastrous. When you have Jrue Holiday down there, you could have Dončić down there as your defender in the paint. You could have maybe, PJ Washington on a switch. You're getting Lively and Gafford out of the rim protection role by putting your guards down in the paint offensively. It is a genius decision by the Celtics coaching staff, and it has absolutely erased Dallas's biggest strength defensively. It's erased it. So keep going downhill, keep those guards in the dunker spot, and Dallas is going to have a hell of a time trying to defend the Celtics at the bucket. Not to mention that these drives are also bringing traffic with them defensively, which opens up the threes. Jaylen Brown, 21, 4, and 7 last night. That's right, I said 7 assists for JB. He was 8 of 15 from the floor. He has been ridiculously efficient. 8 of 15 from the floor. He was only 1 of 5 from 3. But Brown has just been awesome. 6 consecutive postseason game. This is from Dick Leip. Jaylen Brown had his 6th consecutive postseason game with at least 20 points, shooting 50% from the field, at least 50%, tying Havlicek and Reggie Lewis for the 6th longest streak in Celtics history. The franchise record of 7 was set by Bird back in '84. So not only is Jaylen Brown giving you great defense, he's giving you unbelievable efficiency on the offensive end. Meanwhile, you have Tatum and Brown just continuing to attack. And as long as they do that, I just think the Celtics could be so tough to beat. Tatum, this is from Dan Devine from Yahoo Sports. So we talk about Tatum attacking, and we talk about his aggressiveness. We talk about how he settles. And last night he settled, I said it earlier, for about 4 or 5 shots, maybe even as many as 6. He had some settled shots. One of them was a 2-for-1, which I won't kill him about because 2-for-1's whatever. A lot of times the front end of the 2-for-1 is just a bad shot. That was a settled shot. The settle against Exum, turnaround jumper, bad shot. He settled for a few jump shots. However, when you look at Tatum's approach, his season average, Tatum's season average per game, he drove 9 times per game. Okay, think about that. In the regular season, he drove 9 times per game. In the first 3 rounds, he drove 11.4 times per game. Against Dallas, Tatum drove 18 times in game 1. And last night, Tatum drove to the bucket 29 times. So if people don't think Tatum is being aggressive, you're not watching the same game I'm watching. You're not watching the same series that I'm watching. He's struggling shooting, no doubt about that. But his approach is attack, which is exactly what it should be. He's attacking more than he has ever attacked before. Season average drives 9. Last night, he drove to the bucket 29 times. That is a concerted effort. That is trying to beat your defender over and over and over again to create for yourself at the rim or to create for teammates. He's just got to finish some of those bunnies. Brown did have 6 turnovers. Got to clean that up. Celtics had all the big moments last night. The Jaylen Brown, Derek White, chase down, block on PJ Washington. The Peyton Pritchard 3 at the end of the third quarter off the glass was a big shot. Dallas was making a bit of a run at the end of the third quarter. They got it within 6, and then you hit that 3 to push it up to 9 as a big shot. Dick Leip tweeted out that Pritchard's buzzer beater at the end of the third quarter was his 7th made shot of 25 feet or more in the final 3 seconds of a quarter this season. Happened 5 times during the regular season. He did it in game 1 against Cleveland on May 7th. Peyton Pritchard loves end of quarter heaves, and he's really good at them. And that was a big one last night. You also had the steal. You had, Holiday causing havoc on PJ Washington. Dončić tries to rush it up the floor to not get that 8-second violation. He turns it over to White. They do a little back and forth game. Holiday knocks down a huge three. That was a ginormous play in this game. So all the big moments went to the Celtics. Let's talk about Kyrie. Haven't even got to Kyrie yet. He stunk. He stunk out loud. Again. And this is something we've seen Kyrie do against the Celtics now 12 straight times. Kyrie has been abominable against the Celtics. And he could absolutely turn it on Wednesday night. He could score 35 and have a great game. All I'm telling you is the last 12 games against the Celtics, he has royally sucked. And last night, he did it again. Kyrie did it again. 7 of 18 from the floor. 0 of 3 from 3. He tried to play hero ball. He was jacking up bad shots going ISO in the fourth quarter. Love it. Continue, Kyrie. Continue to try to win the game for your team by taking hero ball shots. Continue to do it because it's not going to work 9 times out of 10. You might get hot one game, but the Celtics, if they keep giving up those shots to Kyrie, those contested kinds of shots and those quick threes, they'll let him shoot all night long. 7 of 18, 0 from 3. And, 12 straight losses against the C's. The 10 games before the finals, we went over this as we prepared for this series. The 10 games before the last 2 losses in the finals for Kyrie against the Celtics, the prior 10 straight losses, Kyrie shot 42 and 30% from the field. 42 from the field, 30% from 3. In the finals, first 2 games, Kyrie is shooting 35% from the floor. He is 0 for 8 from 3. He has been wretched. He's been awful. And you can credit some to the crowd if you want, but you also look at how the Celtics defend him. Jrue Holiday frustrates him. Derek White frustrates him. There was that one play in transition. Luka gets the ball up quickly to Kyrie. That's usually a layup. Derek White gets back in transition and literally shuts Kyrie down like a wall. Kyrie tries to drive and just runs right into Derek White and has to circle back and start the offense again. And when he's not having to be defended by Holiday and White, he's getting defended by Tatum and Jaylen Brown, whose physicality and length bother the hell out of Kyrie. And that's the issue. The Celtics have so many bodies they can throw at Luka and Kyrie. Even guys like Sam Hauser have had good defensive possessions. Peyton Pritchard had a steal from Kyrie last night. It was either Kyrie or Luka. And so you have 6 or 7 guys, 8 guys who are willing to defend. And it's just body after body after body on Kyrie and Luka. And they're uncomfortable, especially Kyrie. Mavericks, not named Luka Dončić, shot 5 of 32 from 3 last night. That's 15.6%. Not last night, the first 2 games. 5 of 32 through the first 2 games in this series from 3 by Mavericks not named Dončić. Last night, I believe they were 2 of 17. 3 of 15 in game 1. They just can't make shots. The Celtics giving all the effort in the world against Luka and Kyrie, making it difficult on those 2 guys. And the other guys for Dallas, they just can't do enough. Celtics ended up being plus 12 from three-point land last night. We always talk about the math. They were plus 12 from 3. They end up winning the game. They were plus 3 when it came to free throws made as well. Defensively, Stool Greeny posted this on Twitter. Because we get wrapped up in the offense, it's my own fault. I've spent almost a half hour talking mostly about the offense, aside from the Dončić and Kyrie stuff, right? But defensively, it's really simple. I said this last night on the postgame, 98.5 The Sports Hub with Sean Silver. Loved doing the show last night. A lot of fun. I said this in the postgame last night on 98.5. In the simplest terms, all you've got to say is, can the Mavericks consistently score more than 100 points in this series? Because so far, they don't have enough offense. The C's defense has overwhelmed them. And if the Mavericks can't break 100 points, it's very unlikely the Celtics are going to lose that kind of a game. Not impossible. The Celtics could certainly lose a low-scoring game. You feel like that would have been last night, though, right? Because they couldn't throw the ball in the ocean. So if the Celtics are limiting the Mavericks to 100 points or less, it is incredibly difficult for the Mavericks to win a game. Incredibly difficult. And Stool Greeny posted this morning. Heading into the finals, the Mavericks had a 115.6 offensive rating. So far in the finals, their offensive rating is 100. If you're wondering what that means, the Grizzlies had the worst offense in the NBA this year, and their offensive rating was 106.8. The worst offensive rating in the NBA this season was 106.8. Through the first 2 games of the finals, the Mavericks' offensive rating is 100. That is a different universe. The Celtics continue to defend at this level. They continue to make it tough on Luka and Kyrie. The Mavericks aren't breaking 100. The Mavericks don't break 100. They're going to have a very difficult time winning that game. It's really that simple of a formula if you break it down to that extent. And last night, if I told you going into the game last night that the Celtics would shoot 10 of 39 from 3, what would you think? They shot 25.6% from 3. If I told you that Luka finished with 32, 11, and 11, and the C's were 10 of 39 from 3, you would think the Mavericks would win that game. Right? Well, they didn't. I mean, the Celtics were awful from 3, and they were wide open and open shots all night long. I don't know what Doris Burke and J.J. Redick are trying to tell me last night. They're trying to sell me on this idea that Dallas's defense was much better. At least that's what they were trying to sell me in the first half. Then J.J. found reality in the second half and finally admitted that the Celtics were getting wide open 3 after wide open 3 and just missing them. The Celtics missed a bunch of wide open and open shots last night. Tatum and Brown scored a combined 39 points. If I told you Luka had a 32-point triple-double, the Celtics shot 25.6% from 3. Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown combined for 39 points. The Celtics got out-rebounded in last night's game. If I told you that P.J. Washington had 17 points, Daniel Gafford had 13, and Derrick Jones Jr. had 11, what would you say? You would say the Mavericks stole game 2. At least stole it, if not just outright won it comfortably in Boston. But the Celtics won. Defense. In the first half, Luka Dončić on a heater, 23 points. Celtics were terrible from three-point land. Somehow, you get to halftime, you're up by 3. So the fact the Celtics won last night's game when they couldn't shoot a lick, Tatum and Brown scored less than 40 combined for the second straight time in this series. They got out-rebounded, and the Mavericks got double-digit scoring from 3 of the other guys, in Washington, Gafford, and Derrick Jones Jr., and the Mavericks still lost that game. If you're Dallas, you got to be looking at yourself in the mirror trying to figure out how in the hell can you change this series. And the series is not over. Celtics defended the home floor. Series is not over. But if you're Dallas and you're looking at some of these numbers, you go in, you say, we've got to limit Tatum and Brown scoring. We got to make sure that, Boston doesn't get off from the three-point line. We got to out-rebound them. And we need some scoring from our other guys. You got all those checks. You checked all those boxes last night, and you still lost the game. And not only did you lose the game, the Celtics had control of that game for about 90% of it. Very, very difficult challenge for the Mavericks. Of course, Kristaps Porzingis, we'll see if he's healthy. That challenge might get a little bit easier for the Mavericks if Porzingis can't go on Wednesday night. He finished last night 12-4-1. He had 2 blocks, played 23 minutes. In the postgame, didn't sound like the most confident guy in the world, but he also didn't sound like the most confident guy in the world before game 1, and then went out there and had an outrageous first quarter. If he can play 15 minutes, play him 15 minutes. But we'll see. He said last night he's going to get it looked at. Did not want to get into any specifics as far as what was wrong with him. His gait was obviously off. He looked a little bit stiff going up and down the floor. But they've got to try to loosen him up. If he can give you 15 minutes, I think that's all you need. It's all you need. Clutch numbers this postseason. Celtics. Remember all the talk about how they can't play in the clutch. Another post from Stool Greeny, Barstool Sports. Celtics, 5-0 in clutch games this postseason. 5-0. Their offensive rating is almost 128. Their defensive rating is at about 83. Their net rating is a plus 44.6. They have been dominant in postseason clutch minutes. Now, I would also say, before we bid you adieu, don't forget, give us that like, comment, and subscribe. That thumbs up. We slap that algorithm in the face. We tell YouTube that we know what the deal is. Like, comment, subscribe, rate, review, Spotify, Apple Pods. I will say this. Celtics, I just waxed poetic about how they won last night's game. The end of game, the Celtics needed to be a little bit better in the end of the game. They won. They won because they had a nice lead. They had a double-digit lead with a couple of minutes left. But they slowed their pace down. They had multiple bad possessions. They fouled the Mavericks multiple times and put them at the free throw line. And that game, Dallas got within 5 pretty quickly. And so just need to tighten that up a little bit, right? Need to tighten that up a little bit. If you're in a tight game again down in Dallas, you need better execution in the final couple of minutes there. Just a couple of possessions. It's nitpicking at this point. But you do want to clean up some of those late possessions that we saw last night. Mazzulla, he's 6-0 against the Mavericks. He has yet to lose a basketball game as a head coach against Dallas. 6-0. Until last night, he had won every game against Dallas by at least 9 points. Because of a little bit of that sloppiness at the end, unfortunately for Joe, Celtics won only by 7? So he did not get to that 9-point mark. But I'm going to start looking at this as if Joe's got the secret sauce against the Mavericks. 6-0 against this team. Seems like he knows how to defend and how to approach Luka and Kyrie. And that's the way it's played out. All right, game 3 is Wednesday night. I'm going to Brady night on Wednesday at Gillette. I'm going to try to ignore everybody talking about the game. But it's supposed to end at 9:30, which will get me to about halftime. So hopefully I can get in the car. As long as I'm in the car, I don't have to worry about having anything spoiled. So I'm hopeful I get through that first half without much noise around me. Enjoy Brady night on Wednesday night, then get home and watch the game off the DVR. That's the plan. But Wednesday night, game 3 down in Dallas. We'll see if KP is healthy. Celtics up 2-0 in the finals. Their defense has been unbelievable. Tatum's ability to create for his teammates has been awesome. Jaylen Brown has been efficient. And Jrue Holiday has arguably been your MVP. Celtics go up 3-0. Dallas could pack it in. We'll see how it goes. Back tomorrow, 11 a.m. We'll talk some Patriots mandatory minicamp. Until then, I appreciate every single one of you, your likes, your comments, your subscriptions, rating, and reviewing. Thank you so much. This has been The Nick Cattle Show.